tell me, what are your salary requirements?
Well, I've done some research on what the organization salary ranges are, and I'm not terribly worried about the salary question. I'm quite flexible on that. What I would like to know from you is, what is the range for this position?
Okay. Yeah, it's we're thinking that it's in the $80,000 to $90,000 range.
I'm comfortable with that range.
Okay.
And when it comes to talking about actual figures, I would be definitely within that range.
Okay. All right. You know, whenever you're dealing with multicultural atmosphere, international, you know, you're going to run across people who just don't get it or become upset for some reason. Tell me about a time. Give me an example of a time when you had to address an angry client or learner. What was the problem? What was the outcome? And what did you do to diffuse the situation?
Good question. I haven't run into too many angry clients in that sense, but I know what I would do.
Mm-hmm.
And it is to, first of all, listen. I guess I have dealt with angry people. I want to say that. I've dealt with angry staff members who looked at their paycheck, for example, and didn't feel like it was fair.
Mm-hmm.
And in those situations, I was confident that our system was a fair system, but could allow for there to have been mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, I'd sit down and I'd listen to them. So if it was a cultural matter, as you raised, I would sit and listen to the person first, understand what their perspective is, and then see if there are models that I'm aware of that I could help to address. I could introduce them to cultural models, help them to understand the differences between people that give rise to frustration, and with some cultural understanding, we can tamp down that frustration because we understand each other better. Mm-hmm. With understanding comes a greater ability to accept our differences. Mm-hmm. And find our similarities. Very often, I think, in the cultural arena, this would be this would be a good approach. Listen and then respond.
Give me an example of a stressful or pressure situation you've been in, and how did you handle the pressure?
A good example of that is in a situation where we had a disgruntled employee who actually tried to sabotage our server closet. And that was very stressful because we didn't know how many other people might have been in league with this employee. And so we needed to interview people, find out what's going on, find out who's upset and why, and try to address the reasons of the upset. The person who we discerned was the person who had done the sabotage. They were resigning anyway. We let them go. We didn't try to burn them in any way. Mm-hmm. We let them go. And then with the employees who remained with us, we then recognized we had to address the situation that was causing the upset and try to do what we could to create a better work environment that wouldn't give rise to that situation.
Okay. Tell me about a time when you went above and beyond the call of duty in order to get a job done.
Okay, so I was in Kabul at the time working with a training and development organization there, and all of the higher managers were out of the country for Christmas break. And so I was the person who was partly in charge then. It was me and another fellow who were working together to make sure that the office was still running. Mm-hmm. And we found a significant, we found out that there wasn't a financial process left in place for us to continue to manage things. There was a mistake on somebody's part. And so I needed to really scrambled really hard to make sure that we were able to keep finances coming in so that we were able to pay our staff, pay our vendors, meet our obligations. I wasn't in charge of finance, but I needed to work hard to make sure that we were meeting our obligations, even though they hadn't really left me much instruction.
Mm-hmm. And how did you end up doing that? Tell me how did you work your way through that?
Well, I did not have access to company bank accounts, and just wasn't my area of responsibility. So what I did is I opened an account that would allow them on a short-term basis to transfer money in, and I would pull it out and put it into the security, the strong box for the office, so then we would be able to keep things going. I did that because I felt it was really very important to our own staff that we not be withholding people's salaries, that we not be meeting our obligations. It looks very bad for the organization when you can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
That was a Band-Aid. It survived, and it wouldn't be what I would do in the long term, but it helped us to get through the situation.
Okay. Good. So, tell me about this gap in your employment between 2000 and 2006, or is that when you were going to school, or was that, what was that?
Okay, so I had gone to Pakistan to study, to improve my anthropology background. My BA is in anthropology.
Okay.
My experience and my studies focused on Latin America up until that point, and I wanted to add an Asian culture.
Okay.
So I joined a university in Pakistan to study local language and culture. Most of that gap is accounted for by my studies.
Okay. Okay, so that was most of your studies there. Okay. And then, so most recently, you've basically been doing your own consulting for
Yes.
a couple of years. Tell me what's your biggest accomplishment during that time?
Well, I had a client that I worked with their mid-level managers and gave them some new skills for them to be able to manage their people. This was actually a client where I did a lot of the online training. This client was based also in South Asia, so I was doing online. I was doing leader coaching for them. A lot of that was over on Skype, virtually.
Okay.
It was predominantly a virtual client service process. I also worked with another client who were wanting some problem-solving skills related to their organizational vision and strategy. So we worked on some solutions for them that would help them to be able to position themselves for better growth.
Okay. So how long were those engagements? Those were two different engagements or the same
Those were
engagement?
two different engagements.
Okay. How long were those engagements?
One of them was short. It was a couple of months.
Okay.
The other was several months long.
Okay.
And the question comes up, why am I looking for employment with an organization when
Yeah.
I have a consulting firm? Well, it's sole proprietor. It's not really a firm, it's myself. And the answer to that question is that I really want to be with an organization where I'm part of a team. I work better when I'm part of a team. I work better when I'm interacting. When I'm on my own,
What are you doing on Tuesday? We're doing a separate
it's just a bit too lonely for me.
Okay.
We always do it though, so, First Tuesday? Second.